What's up, everybody? Peter X Coffer here. Welcome back to another episode of Nothing But the Funk. And so today I'm gonna look at another very underrated funk album, soul slash funk. People fight about that; they get confused. I have a couple of episodes. Outside of Nothing But the Funk, but looking at the elements of funk that, and I also have a playlist with Nothing But the Funk and other funk related episodes I've done. So take a look at that. So today I'm doing Midnight Star, No Parking on the Dance Floor. Now, this is one of the Ohio bands, and for whatever reason, man, Ohio had the funk in the late 70s and early 80s. And actually, I lived in Columbus in the late 80s and part of the late 70s and part of the early 80s. That's probably why I love the funk so much, and also why I definitely like that fat bass, because this is the fat bass era. So just to give you an idea of what's going on, you have Midnight Star coming, in the early '80s. The Isley Brothers came out, are from, they go to the late '50s, early '60s. The Isley Brothers are funk. I mean, who's that lady? Uh, they're considered a funk band, even though they're known for their their ballads, but they're funk because of the lyrical content. So you have Who's That Lady, and a couple other ones. So and then of course you got I think Ernie Isley is the great funk guitarist who for a minute in the mid '60s. Jimi Hendrix was their guitarist, and he influenced Ernie, and Ernie took up the guitar, and so you have that rock element, sort of funk rock there going on with the Isley Brothers. So yeah, so that's Cincinnati. You have the OJ's coming out of Cleveland. Um, for the Love of Money. That's funk. But they're known more for their ballads and their soul. Um, but for the love of money, again, you had that political content. I mean, so yeah. I mean, I'm not arguing with anybody who wants to put the OJ's in there as a funk group, but then you got the Daz Band coming in the late '70s, and that's straight funk, and that's straight fat bass, and those are my dudes right there. And then you got Dayton. So you got Roger Troutman dropping with Zapp and Roger. You got Lakeside. You got the Ohio Players, and the Ohio Players hit in the late '60s and go through the whole '70s. And I'm forgetting some folks out of Dayton. Lakeside, but little Dayton is funking it up. And so No Parking on the Dance Floor, June 6, 1983, it's released. Hit 27 on the Billboard album charts and number 2 on the soul charts. Not bad, 27. Uh, 3 singles. Freakazoid hit 2 on the R&B charts and 66 in pop. Wet My Whistle, 8 on R&B, 61 on pop, and No Parking on the Dance Floor, 43 on R&B, 81 on pop. So yeah, only hit number 2 on the soul charts. Well, why was that? Well, some dude named Michael Jackson had an album named Thriller. That's what was going on. And then, after Thriller, kind of did its thing, then some dude named Prince dropped Purple Rain. So that's why probably, Midnight Star, never got number 1 on the soul charts. But, I'm talking about this song or this album in particular because the songwriting here is very, very good on this album. I mentioned the singles, and radio was still very, very segregated, at this time. When Michael did Thriller, um, not when he did the videos, but can't remember if it was Billie Jean or Beat It with the first uh, video for Michael, but MTV was not going to play it. So Epic basically, they didn't play black stuff. They did not play black videos, going into '83, the first 2 years of MTV's existence. And their thing was, well, our people are rock fans and they want rock and roll. So Epic was like, well, look, play Michael. We're pulling all of our stuff off, all of our artists off your channel. They played Michael, and the world lost its damn mind. Rick James sued earlier, and I think it was, because he couldn't get Super Freak or the video for Give It to Me Baby on uh, MTV. I think, Epic broke the ice before that could make its way through the courts. My point that I'm getting here is, if this album drops, in 94, 95, the songs on this are so well written, and, the hooks, this album would have been, a smash, even though it's rooted in a funk and not, in hip hop, in the because things changed in the mid '90s. Yeah, I think, I talk about sometimes pivot points, and when songs or albums drop, and there's the music industry before and after. And I really, in some ways, Mary J. Blige's My Life is kind of one of those pivot moments. I think that drops in 95, 96. Mary was not watering her music down. She wasn't trying to cross over. She just did some straight black stuff, black R&B. I mean, she's the queen of hip hop soul. I love Prince. I have a whole channel devoted to Prince. But Prince, what was his music, tried to appeal as many people as possible, and so did Michael. But yeah, I mean, Mary J's like, I'm black as all can be, and take me as is. And that album, I think, charted, went number 7 on the Billboard charts. And earlier I recorded the World is a Ghetto by War, and that's the other anomaly of an album that hit number 1 on the Billboard albums chart, that really wasn't trying to cross over. So in some ways, to me, No Parking on the Dance Floor is an album that, came, before its time. And it's kind of a shame that, uh, if it dropped later. So what I'm saying, this album is really good. It's a classic. A lot of people, this album gets lost in the shuffle. That's why I'm doing it. A lot of folks just don't know about it. Now, black Gen Xers know about it. Black boomers know about it. But hey, this album is slamming. So it starts with Freakazoid, 8 minutes and 5 seconds. Futuristic sci-fi funk with vocoder. This song right here is, hey, it's a classic. It's a classic. We used to burn up the dance floor. And when I started at Ohio State, this one was one of those staples. That and Rock Box by Run DMC. What else did they play back then? Uh, 5 minutes of funk with Houdini. But yeah, so this, hey, Freakazoid ran with that crowd, at the Ohio State, at the frat parties. It was rocking there. Um, Song 2, Electricity, just straight nasty funk. Um, Hardcore, and it's got that fat bass that I love. Song 3, Night Rider, pop R&B funk, is very well written. Does a great job of setting the mood. This was not released as a single. Night Rider, not like Knights NIGHT. Yeah, there's symbolism there. This is a dude who's very good in the bedroom. That's what it's symbolizing. But this is a good jam. Um, maybe, I mean, this was pre Erotic City, so I don't know if the radio at the time was ready for Night Rider to be dropped, even black radio. But this is a well written song. This song would chart, if, released today or later. Feels so good, mid tempo R&B ballad. Again, this is a very well written song. They run Solar Records, so a mid major label. I don't know, you know, how expensive it was for them to release singles back, in '83. But this should have been a single. This is a good song. Wet My Whistle, R&B pop, well written. Um, and as I said, it charted uh, on Black Radio. Number 6, No Parking on the Dance Floor. Again, straight funk with lots of hooks. Uh, this song would have, you know, the song in some ways is a little bit like Ladies Night. Ladies Night was a smash. This song should have been a bigger song, even in the, it did chart and a little bit on pop and even a little bit on the black charts. But, with a bigger label, this song would have been top 10, certainly at least on the black charts. But this is a jam right here. Song 7, Slow Jam, classic R&B ballad. I mean, um, you listen to oldies, classic soul, um, what are they, the Quiet Storm. This is a staple. Slow Jam's a staple. That again, not a single. Should have been a single. If they're on a bigger label, Slow Jam would have been a single and probably would have a higher profile than it does today. But most people, the top 100 slow jam, R&B soul slow jams all the time. I mean, they're gonna put this there. Playmates, song 8, R&B, pop mid-tempo. Again, a very well-written song. So yeah, No Parking on the Dance Floor, a very, very underrated album. If you haven't checked it out, definitely, give it a listen. I think, even though, you know, we're in the hip hop era and not a funk era. I mean, the songwriting's so good. There's lots of, they got their hooks down. I still think, it stands well, with the test of time. So yeah, I had to do that, do this classic one. Couple songs and on the, with a chant, with a line of inquiry, the funk, then I'll probably start, starting arguments, my 10 favorite, Isley Brothers songs, James Brown songs, I'll throw my 10 out, y'all can throw your 10 out, and y'all can argue amongst yourselves now, get some popcorn and read your comments. So yeah, thanks for coming through. Been waiting to dive into the funk channel. More is coming. Yeah, I got 5 albums myself, all on the streaming services under the name Exodus. Got uh, 2 science fiction fantasy novels and a novella on Amazon. Starting to get that visual art thing going, so about to drop some singles showing off my visual art skills. So stay tuned for that. But thanks again for coming through, and I'll see you next episode.